Welcome to the Honest to Goodness podcast, where we give you our honest opinions on good entertainment. I'm your host, Kerri, and my co-host, Morgan, isn't able to make it, but we have a very special guest host, Nicole from the Swing My Heart podcast. Nicole,
hey everyone.
Back on.
It's great to be back on. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. We've been so excited to try to do this. We have been talking about this, since Christmas?
Yeah,
I think that we needed to get y'all on, and y'all know how things have gone with our podcast of us not being able to record and stuff, but we're excited to finally get her on. And happy birthday, by the way, because we're recording this on her birthday. Did you say that we recorded like the day before your birthday last year?
Yeah, on the Hope Valley Central Station.
Yes. So yeah, we're just gonna make this a birthday tradition for Nicole. Apparently, she gets to guest host on our podcast.
Oh, that's awesome.
If y'all haven't heard of the Swing My Heart podcast, definitely go check it out. They've been doing a great job. Some sweet friends of ours, and you've been getting to interview several really cool people lately. I know you did Andrew Walker, and then what is the lady's name? The costume designer, I think, or something.
Barbara Gorgusova.
Okay, yeah, from the costume designer from When Calls the Heart. So they've been getting to do some really cool stuff over there.
Thank you. Yes.
So,
it's very humbling. We're very grateful for the opportunity.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's really cool to get to interact with people like that, and just to, especially when they're so down to earth. Like I feel like Andrew is for sure, like just so down to earth, and you just feel like you can just sit there and have a conversation.
Yes. Yeah, it felt like a conversation, just like between friends. And of course, y'all saw Nikki came on, which was great too. And she's really sweet as well.
Yeah, that is so awesome. Well, the episode that we're fixing to record, we're going to be talking about the movie Feeling Butterflies, that stars our When Calls the Heart faves, Kevin McGarry and Kayla Wallace. Are they not like the cutest couple ever, by the way?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. So this movie aired March 12th, I think. So we're only about a month behind on that. No big deal. But anyway, so this movie, what did you think of this movie, Nicole?
I love this movie. Yeah, I loved the concept of it. I thought it was different than what we've normally seen on Hallmark.
Yeah. I think the only thing that bugged me is the fact that it was so obvious that like the caterpillars they were using were not monarch caterpillars. They look like the little caterpillars I used to go out and catch in our yard when I was a kid. So just these little fuzzy caterpillars. Yeah. And then she's supposed to be dealing with monarchs all the time. And whenever you actually see her handling a butterfly, it's not a monarch butterfly.
Yeah.
Just those little details. I don't know. Stuff like that. I'm the person that points all that stuff out and annoys everybody when we watch something. But anyway. I
loved how they did the well, I don't know if CGI is the right word, like for all the butterflies.
Yeah, that would be CGI, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
It,
awesome.
they did a really good job with that. Yeah. I was very impressed with the job that they did. Um so this movie opens up with, okay, this was another thing that bugged me. Sorry. Forgot this part. I've been to a few weddings, and when this movie opens up, um Emily's partner Adam is at the wedding, and they're already standing there like to do their vows, and she's just now getting there. Vows take what, like 5 minutes to
Yeah.
get through, something like that. So how could she collect all the butterflies, get there, him call her, the wedding is started, she's just now pulling up and getting the butterflies, and then she has to drive to the venue and them get set up, or she gets there and he's like, they're just about to say their vows, and I'm like, yeah, right. Like, if this was real life, that would not be how this goes.
It would be a lot quicker than that, but it was
Yeah.
still a nice opening.
Yeah, it is. It's just one of those things where my brain goes, yeah, this is realistic.
Yeah.
Oh, word. Okay, let me get out of my snobby brain for a minute and get
Yeah.
back to the movie. Uh,
I did love the scenery in
oh
the
yeah,
opening scene.
yeah, it's beautiful. Do you know if they actually filmed in Washington or?
I I don't know. I mean, they usually film in the Vancouver area or like in somewhere in Canada,
Yeah.
whether it's on the West Coast or the East Coast.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was just wondering because they, like I said, they're like supposedly they're in Washington State, in the movie, so which is again unique because they don't usually have anything in that area. Usually
Yeah.
it's like on somewhere on the East Coast, not on the West
Yeah.
Coast. But
Yeah, that's
anyway,
awesome.
yeah, it was really really cool. Felt like a lot of it was different, but it was
Yeah.
really good.
I loved Emily's line, you know, in the first scene when she walks into the butterfly farm, I guess. And you know, the alarm or whatever is going off, and she says, okay, here's the deal, you can break down tomorrow, I'm free all day, but I can't do this right now, got it?
Yeah. And then it starts back. She's like, oh, you want talking to a generator or compressor, I think is what it was. Compressor. Oh, yes. Yeah. So Emily owns, with her friend Adam, owns a butterfly business, and they like release butterflies at birthday parties and weddings and whatever anybody hires them to do, but they actually like raise the butterflies themselves and stuff. So it's really cool, I thought, just kind of that whole element of it. But they have this wedding, the wedding they released the butterflies at, and that's kind of when we find out that Emily has had her heart broken. And the next day, which ironically she said was she was free all day, but she had a birthday party to go to. But anyway, again, an inaccuracy. I am too snobby for this, y'all. I am telling. Oh, I like this really weird mix of, oh, who cares, and that is not accurate. Like,
It's all right.
Yeah. So she is releasing butterflies at this little girl's birthday party. The little girl's name is Amanda. And while she is there, she is like teaching them about the butterflies and stuff. And she asks the kids, like, does anybody know what butterflies eat? Well, none of them knew. So Amanda's dad pops up and is like, fruit or sugar water, and of course that's, the eye lock and the, oh, wow, look.
Yeah. And Amanda's like, Daddy, she was asking us.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Oh, so she is, she's teaching them about the butterflies and letting them look at all the butterflies and stuff. And she all of a sudden realizes that her competitor, Mandy Fisher, is next door at another birthday party releasing butterflies, and they end up in a little bit of a showdown, like
Yeah.
a butterfly showdown, I think is what she called it.
Yeah.
Like releasing different butterflies, and the two with it's hilarious, honestly.
Yeah.
Like when Emily goes to the car to get more butterflies, and Garrett's
Yeah.
like, wait, I only paid for 25. She's like,
Yeah.
oh, it's on the house. I will not be out butterflies.
Butterfly. I was about to say that.
Yeah. I love how he's just standing there awkwardly, like, I'm staying out of this one. Like, he's just looking back and forth between the two of them, like, oh boy, what is with you two? Oh my gosh. So I love it when Adam shows up, and when Garrett comes over to tell Emily that Amanda wanted to say goodbye, and he walks off. Yeah, that's the dad. Oh my word. I loved Adam. He was such a cute character. Like, seriously, he was so sweet.
Matchmaking.
Yeah. I loved it when they got back to the house, and he had that cake. She was like, where did you get that? And he was like, one of the parents was gonna throw it away. I rescued it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. How about you rescue a salad later?
I know, yeah.
Oh my gosh. So let me see. I always get ahead of myself on what order stuff comes in, and I obviously did not take notes.
I loved Emily and Adam's conversation after the party, when they're talking a little bit about Garrett, and he was like, your hot single dad.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. I love it when she was like, I was not saying goodbye to him. I was saying goodbye to his daughter. He's like, yeah, but he invited you. Oh Lord. Is that when that's when her dad shows up to bake. And of course she's like not really in the mood for her dad, who occasionally comes, just like shows up and we're gonna cook to get your mind off things. It's just like, Dad, it's been a year. I don't need to keep getting my mind off things. And he was like, oh, nonsense. The father knows. And then Adam gets ready to leave, and Emily's looking at him like, don't you dare leave me here by myself. And he's like, I've got a date. And I love it when she's like, I thought that was canceled. And I don't even remember, like, he never even really acknowledged the fact that she said that. It was more of a, get out of here.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder if he actually did have a date, or if he was just getting out of there.
Yeah. And then Larry, her father, the matchmaking was hilarious. He was like, have you contacted that guy I told you about or something?
You mean that random stranger that you met at the gas station? You made me sound desperate. You are.
Oh my gosh.
Larry was so funny. Like, I don't know if I could handle him as a dad, but he was funny. Like, as a character, he was good.
Yeah.
His heart was in the right place.
Yeah.
So the next day, I'm assuming, or very shortly thereafter, that sorry, my brain was like going into two different scenes here, so I'm trying to get back to it. That they're at the little greenhouse, they're at their little butterfly sanctuary.
Yeah.
And they're discussing, what they're going to be doing moving forward and whatever. And Emily's phone dings, and she's like, oh, they're here. And Adam's like, who's here? And it is the hot single dad.
Daughter.
Yeah. And his daughter, Garrett and Amanda.
Yeah.
I will say this is the one scene I didn't really care that much for Amanda, simply because it seemed borderline being a brat, not quite, but there's no way I would have gotten away speaking to my parents that way. So but and really all she does, like Garrett is like just being an adult and telling what's going on. She's like, Dad, I want to be the one to tell her. And he's like, okay. So she starts telling. Well, then Garrett takes over again. She's like, Daddy, whatever. I'm like, okay, yeah, if I would have said that there, I would have been in trouble. But anyway, so it turns out that Amanda is doing a science project for her school, and she wants to do it on butterflies. So she wants to come to Emily's little butterfly sanctuary there and learn all about butterflies and how to take care of them. Now, when they get in the actual like flight house is what they called it, and they're talking, and Emily is very impressed with how much Amanda knows about the butterflies. And Amanda's commenting, they're so pretty.
Yeah.
She was like, you're pretty too. Emily's like,
my dad thinks so.
Yeah, my dad thinks so. And he's like, I don't know what she is like.
Yeah.
Well, don't you think she's pretty? Well, yeah, but like
yeah, I have it written down. She says, you're really pretty. My dad thinks so. I heard him talking to his friend on the phone. Amanda, I don't know what she thought she heard on the phone. You don't think she's pretty, Daddy? Yes, I do. Told you. And then Emily's like, thank you.
Yes. Oh, kids. Like, I'm picturing a scene.
Matchmaking.
Yeah. I'm picturing a scene from the Andy Griffith Show when Opie and Andy, season 1, they're in the drugstore. It was right when Ellie first came to town, and Opie's like, she's a real nice lady, Pa, ain't she? I mean, isn't she? She sure is. Are you married? No. My Pa ain't married either. Oh, bye.
Oh gosh.
And Amy's giving him this look like, oh boy, what did you just do?
I don't know if I've seen that episode. I've seen a good many episodes, but I don't know if I've seen that one. I can't remember.
Yeah, that would be like early season 1 when the first episode that Ellie came into town.
I'll have to watch it.
Yeah, it's a good one. But anyway, so Adam ends up pulling Emily aside, and I don't remember what he says to her out there.
He says, bingo.
And and she's like, oh, you're worse than the kid. Yeah. Oh, my word. I mean, Adam and Amanda make a pretty good matchmaking team. I'm just saying, they're pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, you could kind of picture the two of them standing off in a corner somewhere, giving each other a high five at the end of this. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Nicole, do you want to kind of pick up from there and talk a little bit about what happened next?
Let's see. I think the next scene is the show and tell, or the other birthday party that Garrett and Amanda help with, which I love that scene too. Garrett brings her coffee, and then he and Emily have a conversation on the bridge, which was really sweet.
Oh yeah, that was a gorgeous setting right there too. It really was. I think this movie felt pretty relatable to me, like real life relatable, as far as kind of the angst between the two of them, because, and that'll kind of come up later in the movie, but just the fact that you can tell there's chemistry between the two of them, but she also realizes he's all the time talking to this woman Jill on the phone, and and of course now he's telling her he may be moving to New York and whatever, so it's like they're attracted to each other, but it doesn't seem like it's going to work out. So you can just the real life angst between the two of them, I felt like was good and kind of different from most movies, I guess.
Yeah.
so they have a retirement party or something coming up with like 500 butterflies they're supposed to be delivering, or
I think so.
yeah, I think so. And then it's while Emily and Garrett are not Emily and Garrett, it's Amanda and Garrett are at the flight house that oh shoot, I cannot think of the girl's name that was getting married. What was her name?
Rebecca O'Keefe.
Yes, Rebecca O'Keefe calls Emily, and I love how she's just like, oh yeah, Rebecca O'Keefe would be calling me. Oh wait, sorry. Oh my gosh, like, oh boy, off on the wrong foot. But that she is like heiress to some fortune, something or other. I can't remember what they called it, honestly.
It's on the tip of my tongue. I'm trying to remember. Like, I know it's there, but it's not coming to me.
Yeah. Basically, she's like a socialite, so basically this wedding is going to be, it's like on all the tabloids, and the wedding itself is going to be in all kinds of magazines and whatever, and she wants 500 butterflies released at her wedding.
Yeah.
So Emily meets up with Rebecca, and
can we talk about that?
yeah, she's a piece of work. Like, I kind of felt bad for the actress. Like, I think it's a singer, and I'm like, that, like, she seems like she's probably a sweet person, but
yeah,
geez Louise, like, that character was a
high maintenance. Like, the flowers have to coordinate perfectly with the butterflies.
Yeah. I love it when she's like, they're like looking at, she's like, okay, as you can tell, I don't have a wedding planner. I don't trust them. I'll be making all the decisions myself. Do you think these flowers should be darker? Or do you think, yeah. And she was like, well, I mean, I think if it were me, I would do something a little darker. And she was like, yeah, you're right. And like, just like she's questioning her. And then she was like, okay, obviously I'll be wearing white, and all the attendants will be wearing off-white, because I don't want anybody to clash with the flowers. I want them to really pop. And she was like, do monarchs come in other colors? No, they're only orange. Okay.
Well, what goes well with orange or something?
Yeah, what goes well with orange? She's like,
purple?
Well, purple. And but if you're gonna do that, I would go with something kind of lighter. She's like, lavender would be really nice, and it has a nice
it smells good.
Yeah. And I'm a conservationist, right? I mean, she is just like such a and then she's like, well, I'll let you know whatever it was exactly that she said. And she was like, what? And she was like, yeah, it's between you and Mandy Fisher. Whoever can deliver the most butterflies gets the job.
Yeah, and like, of course it is.
Yeah. Yes. And then she's like, I think she was talking about like, I'll do the best I can, but this is a big order, she was like, she said, I don't think you understood me. I said at least 500 butterflies. Whoever can deliver the most gets the job. And she's like, this is going to be a challenge. And Rebecca's like, well, Mandy Fisher said it wasn't going to be any problem at all. She's like, of course she did. Of course, no problem. I've got this,
Yeah.
And of course, Adam is like,
what did you just do?
Yeah. He's like, we've already got this big order for this. We can't handle this too. So they're scrambling to like try to figure out how they're going to make this happen. But Emily knows that Mandy Fisher doesn't
see, what's the word? Doesn't
I feel like this word is like right on the tip of my tongue.
I know.
It's not coming out correct.
Like she says she doesn't
fulfill her promises.
Yeah, fulfill her promise. Yeah.
yeah, shall we say it that way? Because she will like not bring as many butterflies as she's supposed to. She'll mix moths in with butterflies and whatever. Whereas with Emily, it really matters to her. The whole making sure everything is right and teaching people about them and helping the environment and all that, like all of this is really important to her, and that's one reason it makes her so mad that Mandy, she's like, it's about the numbers for her. She does kitten parties and puppy parties, and butterflies is just another thing to her. It doesn't matter to her. And she's like, I am not going to let her win this. So they decide that they need to expand their flight house. They have to make their sanctuary bigger in order to do this. And I'm probably skipping some stuff, but it kind of rocks on to a point where Mandy, I loved when Mandy and Emily are on the golf cart with Rebecca.
Yes. Yeah, the comedy in that scene, although it was like made me roll my eyes. I was like,
yes. And I loved the fact that later in the movie, Rebecca was like, well, Mandy said this, but I have a feeling Mandy Fisher tells me whatever I want to hear. Where even she, as pretentious as she was, could see through Mandy just saying whatever she needed to say in order to get the job. And of course, Emily is a little more conservative and, would rather tell you, I'm not sure if I can do it, and then surprise you than to say, yes, I can do it, and then fall short, But they end up needing to release, what was it, 1,501 butterflies, because Rebecca's ex-best friend released
1,500.
Yeah, released 1,500 butterflies at an event, and she was not going to let her quote unquote friend outdo her. She was not going to be outdone.
No, out butterflied.
Yeah, she was not going to be out butterflied. But anyway, so Garrett obviously ends up helping Emily build her, like remodel her flat house, get it, get the new one up and running and stuff. And I loved the scene when it sounds bad. I loved the scene when he hit his hand with the hammer, because the reason he did is because he wasn't watching what he was doing, because he was watching her.
Yep.
So hilariously high school or something. I don't know.
I also wonder if that was like part Kevin and Kayla too.
Yeah. I feel like the main scene that I feel like was more Kevin and Kayla was the mud fight. Yes. That particular scene just felt more like this is something the two of them would get into in real life.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. So there ends up, what was the parasite? Was it OE? Was that the parasite that started like killing off half of the caterpillars they had gotten to raise the butterflies? So they are like scrambling, and at this point Rebecca O'Keefe had told Emily, if basically promise me you'll do this and you got the job. And I like the fact that Adam had been like so hesitant about it early on, and now all of a sudden he's like, yeah, we'll do it. Yeah, we'll do it.
Like once they mentioned the magazine, it was like, yeah, we'll do it.
Yes. So they have to like scramble to find more caterpillars, because they only have like 700 and something now, and they need 1,501. So they're like calling everywhere trying to get caterpillars. But to kind of jump back, we talked about her Emily's dad, Larry. And I loved the scene where he's like, so who is he? You know, whatever. She's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, you know, I told you, dad always knows. And he was like, he said, there's a lot in you, also kind of a depression, but there's a spark in you that hasn't been there. And he was like, you met somebody. And she's like, well, it's complicated. And come to find out, the girl that Garrett had kept talking on the phone was his ex-girlfriend, that they had stayed friends and she was still kind of a big part of their lives. But her name was Jill. Mm-hmm. And she ends up showing up. I love that too. The scene where Emily stays for supper when she's like, am I too late, or am I late or something? And he was like, not if you want to eat, you know, like just insist that she stay for supper and stuff. But Emily is basically saying, you know, telling her dad, yeah, it's complicated, you know, he may be moving, ex-girlfriend in the picture, you know, all this stuff. Do you have it written down?
Yeah, I have his quote. I really liked it. He says, in life, we try all kinds of things. The only time we get it wrong is when we don't try.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I love it when he tells her, basically, even if this doesn't work out, because she is so scared, come to find out she had been left at the altar by her fiance. And so
oh, no.
Yeah. Yeah. So she was like, you know, I thought I had it right with him. I thought I was in love with him. And he was like, you were. He was the one that couldn't go through with it. This is not your fault. And he was like, listen, even if this doesn't work out with whoever this is that you met, at least you're open to feeling something again. You know, I loved that element to that. But when, and back me up if I'm missing anything important, but I loved when this was actually like when they found out they needed all the new caterpillars, but when Garrett and Emily had been working on the like the screen for them to stand behind at the hedge type thing for them to stand behind to release the butterflies at the wedding. And she ends up offering to take him, you know, buy him lunch. And they went to this place, which is actually where she had gotten engaged. And then they get back to her house and she was like, oh no. And he's like, what's wrong? She's like, that's my dad's car. And he was like, that's a bad thing. And she was like, well, you know, and starts explaining. And she was like, could you come in and meet him? Because if you don't, I will never hear the end of it. And he was like, oh, I don't want to intrude. She's like, trust me, it'll be another favor. And you can just tell he's looking like, not sure what I'm about to get into. But when they walk in the door and her dad's like, oh, so you're the guy.
Yeah.
I can see why you have a crush on him.
It's like, Dad.
Yeah. Like, she talks about you constantly. No, I don't. Like, I don't even remember. What else did he say right there? I don't even remember, but it was
I don't
hilarious.
even have it written down, but it was hilarious.
Yes, like, just, and him saying something, like, he said something like to Garrett about her or something, and you know, they're both just so embarrassed, and he was like, what, you don't think she's lovely? And he was like, well, yeah, of course I do. And she's like, wait, you too? Dad, your cookies are burning. Nice try, they're not in the oven yet. That scene was gold because it is totally a parent move.
Yes. It's like, Dad, you're embarrassing me.
Yeah, she thinks I'm embarrassing her. You are.
Also, back to the scene, you know, when they're having dinner and Jill shows up. And I think this was before, you know, Amanda's like, don't try his meatloaf.
Yeah.
But then, you know, when Jill shows, another line from Garrett, he says, "I'm your man," and Amanda's like, "I hope so."
Yeah.
And then Jill shows up, and she gives Amanda the necklace. I wrote in my notes, awkward.
Mm-hmm. I love it when Amanda looks at Emily and was like, "Don't you think it's pretty?" or something, like just the look on her face. And Emily's like, "It's very sparkly."
Yeah.
Oh my god, that is so hilarious. What I think it was when Garrett had hit his hand with the hammer or something that he ends up at, I'm assuming, Emily's house.
Yeah.
Like out behind her house. And again, this scene just felt so true to life, because I mean, when you're dealing with somebody, I mean, I don't know if I kind of doubt we have that many guys that listen to our podcast, but like, I don't know how guys think and deal with this, but with us girls, there can be anything that goes on and we're like, wait, what is that? Are they thinking this? Or what's going on? Like every little thing, we start dissecting it. It is in our DNA. We can't help ourselves.
Yeah.
But when she's like, okay, this is what's driving me crazy. I don't understand what's going on here. And he's like, what are you talking about? And she was like, this, us. And he's like, okay. She's like that. That is not how anybody looks at me and not how I look at anybody else. And he's like, yeah, me neither. And she's like, you're doing it. He was like, I'm sorry, I don't know how I'm looking at you.
Yeah, I love that scene.
Oh my word. But I love the fact that they basically just open up about the fact that we're attracted to each other, but there's a problem here.
Yeah.
And that, he finally at that point kind of tells her the history with Jill and talks more about New York and everything, and basically tells her, yes, I'm interested in you, but I'm not sure what I want yet, Yeah. And when Adam shows up and when they talk about that, I just think it's really sweet, her relationship with Adam. Like, it just seems like everybody needs a best friend like him. Everybody needs an Adam in their corner. Okay, let's see, what was the point? Okay, when they they end up, when they need all these butterflies, they're still 400 butterflies short, or 400 caterpillars short. And Adam's like, we've called everybody, and Emily's like, not everybody. So Emily and Garrett end up showing up at Mandy Fisher's house. And I love how she's like, you have got to be kidding me. So Emily basically tells Mandy, here's the problem, here's what's going on. Do you have 400 caterpillars? And she was like, well, of course, I was ready to deliver 1,000, and she was like, Mandy, she was like, okay, fine. I didn't have nearly that many. And so they talk more about it. And when I don't remember the exact conversation, but basically Emily's like, well, I wasn't going to buy them from you. And Mandy's like, well, I'm not going to just give them to you. And Emily's like, well, I can't believe I'm about to say this. Let's team up. And Mandy and Garrett both at the same time were like, I'm sorry, what?
Wait, what?
Because even Garrett is shocked by that. He's like sitting there like, wait, you two can't stand each other. And now you're sitting here asking to team up. What did I miss somewhere?
I loved that though, how they teamed up to.
Yeah. So they end up deciding to team up, and they're still 100 caterpillars short. So Garrett is like, hey, my daughter is doing this science project. There's a bunch of milkweed out by the school. Why don't I talk to her teacher and see if we can kind of recruit some students to help, find these caterpillars that we need in the wild. And so they agreed to it. And then I love when Mandy's like, oh, by the way, are you still single? And Kerri's just like, yeah, it just starts choking.
He's like,
oh my word, that is so awesome.
yeah.
So the scene, I loved when they did the like the kids looking for the caterpillars, and that one little kid comes up to Mandy and is like, you want a caterpillar? She's like, no. And then she like freaks out. She can't stand it. Oh my gosh.
Butterflies, I don't mind, but like caterpillars, I'd be like, no, thank you.
Yeah, I used to catch like these little caterpillars around the house when I was a kid. It's been a long time, obviously, since I've done stuff like that. Yeah. But I do not do critters. I love animals. I cannot stand critters. I have been stung like 25 times in my life, and twice of those were 11 at one time. So I'm very paranoid of stinging insects. I cannot stand spiders. Hate snakes. Like, I can't. I think this is the one time we've ever recorded that you hadn't been killing a bug on your desk or something.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, just watch 5 minutes later a cockroach or something will come crawling by on my desk. Yes. I hate cockroaches. Like, I'm terrified of cockroaches. Well, not terrified. They're gross. I don't like them.
Yeah. I tell you what I hate. We get those, I don't know what y'all would call them. We call them stink bugs.
Oh gosh.
We get those in our house really bad because we have a like a cabin. So all the wood and stuff. So we get those in our house really bad. And those are so, I mean, they'll scare you at night when you're laying in there trying to go to sleep, and all of a sudden it's like, those things are loud. Yes. Or when one gets stuck behind the blind and you have metal blinds, and that is so loud.
Ooh. Yeah, I have some interesting cockroach stories.
Yeah.
On the mission trip that I go on every year, of course, it hasn't happened the past few years because of COVID, but there was one year, I think it was 2014 or 15. I think maybe 2015. I mean, we had the house that I worked, so the house that my site worked on was infested with German roaches.
Oh my gosh.
And those are the hardest to exterminate. And we had to now I think we found out that like the house was infected, I think on Tuesday. So it was like the second day of work. And or maybe it was like Monday afternoon, after we left the site for the first day. And every day as we were getting on the bus, getting on the bus or, getting back in the car. I think we had a bus that year that my site rode to our house that we worked on. And every day as we were getting on the bus, to go back to the school, we had to take our shoes off, put them in trash bags. And we could not put them back on until we got on the site the next day because, we didn't want to carry that into the school.
Oh my gosh. Ugh. Nope, I don't think I could.
I mean, of course, I wouldn't say anything because, some people, they can't help,
Right, yeah.
It's understandable, but it was still, that year, that was interesting.
Yeah. I remember when
it's always a very humbling experience.
Yeah. I remember when we were filming Mayberry Man, though, I was getting an average of like two hours of sleep a night for like 3 weeks. And there was one night that I had 1 hour of sleep before I had to get up. And I was like, I think it was the mouse that ran in the bathroom with me at 3 o'clock in the morning. That was kind of the last straw for the day before I went to bed. And then I got up an hour later to get ready to be on set again. So yeah. But anyway, so Amanda, I almost said Emily, get the right name here. Amanda ended up naming one of the caterpillars Sarah after her mom. Yeah. And I love the little conversation between her and Emily talking about her mom, kind of always being there, even though she was gone. And I don't really remember the entire conversation. I remember Garrett like walking in on part of it and just standing there watching the two of them talk. But it was just a really sweet moment between them.
Yeah.
And so as things are going on, like progressing, Jill had okay, I'm fixing to get just a tad snarky for just a minute. But Jill had put in basically an application for Amanda to be accepted into a like really prestigious school in New York, which is where Jill went to school. And she's like, it's the best school, whatever. But she did not talk to Garrett about it before she did it. She was like, I wanted to surprise you and whatever. And my thought when rewatching this movie was that's a trait of a kind of a toxic relationship when somebody doesn't. Okay, there's a point where it's okay to surprise somebody with certain things, but you do not make major decisions like that about somebody else's life without discussing them. And I was thinking, okay, that is a red flag in a relationship. That is kind of a toxic trait to just do that. And my snarky thought was, most people would say, yeah, that's a red flag. She shouldn't have done that, whatever. And yet when Lucas Bouchard did that to Elizabeth Thornton in When Calls the Heart, Team Lucas seemed to have no problem with it whatsoever. He's still Saint Lucas. Like, this is not something that should happen, and yet they're great with it. So anyway, that's my little snark for just a minute. Yet with anybody else, if that had been Nathan that had done it, they would have been like screaming. So yeah, but anyway, so Jill ends up calling Garrett while they're at the butterfly sanctuary and telling him, hey, she's accepted, she can go to this school. And he is really, really torn about it. And was this before? This was after the mud fight, wasn't it? Or was it before?
I think it was after, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I don't 100% remember, but the
right.
Yeah, it would have been her telling him she was accepted into the school would have been after the fact, because Emily was asking him like,
I think it was before the mud fight, because I remember they were talking about Emily in the school.
Yeah. But Garrett tells Emily kind of at this point, we're moving to New York next week. And he's like, this is a great opportunity. This does not come without mixed emotions, whatever. Obviously he doesn't want to leave Emily. He cares about her and he's enjoying everything he's doing there, but he's trying to make what he feels like it's going to be the best decision for his daughter and her future. And he's like, but he said, I won't be here to help out with the wedding, the 1,501 butterflies. But he was like, I'd like to help out as much as I can before we leave. And I think the mud fight was before this conversation, but that they do end up, and it was so cute, really, how it started, because like he didn't have anything at all on his face, helping her out there.
He just did that.
Yeah, she sees he has mud on his hand, and she was like, "Oh, wait, you have something right?" And he's like, "Right here." And she's like, "Yeah, that kind of." And he's like, starts smearing mud down his face, and then realizes what is going on. And he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna get you." And she's like, "No, no, no, no," and gets him to stop.
Yeah.
And she, he turns away from her, and she picks up a handful of mud and like just slaps him in the back with it. Honestly, that looked like that would have hurt. Like watching Kevin right there, he looked like he actually like really did flinch. Like, dang.
Yeah.
But I love how they just end up like just rolling around in the mud out there. Again, that was just a really, really cute scene that to me just screamed Kevin and Kayla.
Yeah.
They are so cute. I would love to see them do more movies together.
Yeah. There was one scene, it was when Emily and Adam, they were talking, she had the dress on, and he was commenting about the dress.
Yeah.
And then Rebecca shows up. I love how she was like trying to do her own matchmaking for Emily.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, remind me to introduce you to someone at the wedding.
Yeah. Yes. Rebecca was just a piece of work. I'm sorry, but that character, like, whoa. I can't imagine being that high maintenance or something. I don't know what else to call it, but I just can't imagine being like that personally.
No.
But so Garrett and Amanda end up moving to New York. And I love that Larry was not just taking baking lessons now, he was taking a grilling class now.
Yeah.
He was such a character. Like he was a really good character in that movie. But the scene where Emily and Garrett are saying goodbye, and you can just tell they're like, really torn about this. And he's like, I wish Amanda would have been born a month earlier. That way we could have spent a little more time together. And she was like, that would have been May 10th. Nope, we were booked up that day. It like kind of plays it off.
Yeah.
And I love how she keeps saying, like, funny how the universe works things out, or
the world.
The world works things out. And when he tells Jill that he keeps feeling like he's forgetting something or leaving something, forgetting something, I think it's what he said, but it's
like, get it later.
Yeah. And then she was like, I just got an interesting call. She's like, I'm not going to take it, but whatever position that she just got offered, you kind of see it click with him at that point. Kind of, she's not going to be satisfied staying here. Like there's always going to be a better opportunity for her somewhere else, and I'm pretty much uprooting our lives to move to New York, to take a job I don't want, to go to a school you're setting my daughter up at, and to see if we have a future together, and you're obviously not going to be satisfied with that.
No.
So like, why am I doing this? Yeah. But the day of the wedding finally arrives, and she was not late with the butterflies this time. Nope. But and Rebecca had wanted the butterflies to like circle over them before they flew off. Emily's like, yeah, you can't train butterflies. Can't butterflies be trained? She's like, no.
No. Doesn't work that way.
Oh my gosh. But anyway, so they release the butterflies, and I love the fact that Mandy at this point is like actually genuinely concerned for Emily and like, are you okay? And I love the fact that they're like actually friends now, and the little hug they gave each other there was so cute. And Emily's like, yeah, I'm actually great, the best I've been in a long time. And Adam's like, how about now? And they look up, and Garrett and Amanda are walking towards them. It's gone a week. and Amanda had Sarah, the butterfly, and she was like, we have to release her with the others. And she was like, oh yeah, she's our 1501. So they released the butterfly, and Amanda runs off, obviously, and Emily's like, what are you doing here? And he was like, he said Amanda's heart was here, and if I'm being honest, so is mine. So just their whole little ending conversation there, I thought was really sweet.
Yes.
Where he's basically saying, yeah, this is a great opportunity, but that doesn't make it right. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do something. And I think that's a valuable lesson in and of itself, is kind of to make sure your priorities are in the right place, because you could have all the money in the world and be lonely and miserable and whatever else, or you could barely be getting by but have each other and be completely happy. So just the making sure you have your priorities right in life, and knowing that people are more important than things and stuff. So I just felt like the whole movie I thought was really, really sweet. Like I said, there were just kind of some little technicalities that drove me nuts, but I'm always the person pointing stuff like that out in movies. So what else is new? Was there anything particular that I missed in there, Nicole? Or
I don't think so. I think we pretty much covered it all. I think we need a sequel.
Yeah, what do you think was like your favorite scene out of
gosh. My favorite scene. Well, man, that's a hard one because there were so many great ones.
I know.
It's like I want to pick every single.
Yeah.
I loved the mud fight.
Mm-hmm.
That was cute. And then the scene we were talking about when Garrett and Amanda were talking about, the way they were looking at each other, and and then Adam comes in and starts encouraging her, and I think those were my top two favorite scenes.
Yeah, I would say probably have three top favorites. The two that you mentioned, the mud fight, the one where Garrett and Emily are. You're looking at me like that again. Don't know how I'm looking at you. Oh yeah, that is like just such a real conversation there. It's hilarious. And then I was like dying laughing at her dad when he met Garrett.
Yes, that was a great scene too.
Yes, that one was hilarious. So I would say those are probably my three top favorites out of them.
Those are great.
Yeah. Trying to think what might be like a favorite line or something from the movie.
Man, I didn't write a lot of them down, so I don't remember.
Probably the conversation between Garrett and Emily. They're on the back porch where they're like having the conversation about like how he's looking at her and whatever, because that was gold.
Yeah, it was.
But then I'm with you. What was the line from her dad?
That
you mentioned earlier.
In life, we try all kinds of things. The only time we get it wrong is when we don't try.
Yeah, that's like something you need to frame and put on the wall or something like that. That is like an inspirational quote there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we did cover really everything from that movie. I loved getting to see Kevin and Kayla actually together in a movie. I would love to see them do more movies together.
We need more Kevla movies.
Yeah, there you go.
Kevla. Hashtag Team Kevla.
Yeah, there you go. Let's see. Now, the movie that Andrew and Nikki did together, Is that one out yet, or is that one
this Sunday?
This Sunday? Okay, yeah. Morgan and I were talking about it last night, I think, and we couldn't remember when it was coming out. Honestly, I have not kept up with the new ones lately, which I've had a little bit going on. That's probably why. But yeah. I still need to watch That's Amore with
I haven't watched that one yet, but I have it recorded.
Yeah, I have that one recorded too. Trying to think if there was another one. We still need to cover the second and third wedding bell movies. We'll get to those eventually.
Maybe we could come on for that. Maybe record with y'all.
There you go.
Or y'all could come on ours.
There you go.
We just need
how about if we come on y'all's for the second one and y'all come on ours for the third one, and we'll like bounce back and forth. Oh my gosh. Yeah,
that would work. Sorry, I forgot I was muted.
Oh, you're good. Let's see. You're going to oh shoot, what is the name of the thing?
Drama?
Yes.
Yes.
I think Kristen's going too, isn't she?
Yes, she is. I'm excited.
That is going to be so awesome. And of course I will be at the When Calls the Heart musical VIP.
Yeah, which is the same weekend.
Yeah. Sad we can't all be like at the same thing at the same time. But yeah.
We could do, let's see what's I don't know. I was gonna say we could do like a Parent Trap kind of thing. Where, like there's just kidding. You know what I'm trying to say, like where there's two of us or something.
Yeah. I know. I'm like, Morgan isn't going to be able to come to the When Calls the Heart thing with me. I'm like, I need somebody to come with me. Like, y'all are all going down there. I need somebody with me. Oh, man. But I believe there are still some availabilities. The When Calls the Heart musical is in Napanee, Indiana. Just look up the Round Barn Theater and check out tickets for that. Brian and Patty Bird will be there, and I honestly don't remember who all is supposed to be there. It will be a different cast from last year. Last year's cast was spectacular, but I have no doubt that this year's cast will be great as well. And actually, Christy Stutzman is working on the Love Comes Softly musical.
That's awesome.
Well, that one should be out next year. We're all gonna have to get up a group and go to that one too, though. That one would be really fun to go.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah,
and so much fun.
It would be really fun.
And Rama Drama, y'all, I think there are tickets still available. You can buy them at, let me look it up because I forgot the website.
And I forgot to mention the dates. It is June 24th and 25th, or the We Cross the Heart musical, the VIP weekend. And Napanee is beautiful. Like, it's a really neat area. That's actually where I met Kristen last year.
Yes,
Kristen and Josh,
awesome.
Her husband. They are so sweet.
Ramadrama.com.
There you
get
go.
Tickets if you have not already. It's June 24th through the 26th.
Awesome. I need to send one of y'all some money, get Tyler's autograph for me.
Yeah. Oh yes. I listened to y'all's recap where y'all were talking about me and Kristen bringing back Tyler.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, we're crazy on here, y'all. It's fine.
Tyler and let's see who else was it? Andrew? Or I feel like I'm missing someone. I feel like y'all said somebody else. Tyler and
I don't even remember. It was probably like 2:00 in the morning when we were recording that, so I don't remember much from it, honestly.
I know y'all said Tyler.
Yeah.
Bring back Tyler.
Yeah. Yep. If Kevin was there, we'd be saying bring back Tyler.
Maybe it was Kevin. Maybe it was Kevin.
Oh man, I hated it when Ramadrama got moved from Atlanta to Florida, because Atlanta's only like an hour from me, so I would have been able to have gone if it had been there. But well, of course, with the dates being the same now, I probably wouldn't. But
yeah.
Anyway, Well, thank you again, Nicole, for coming on. It's always fun.
It's so much fun. Thank you for having me. We'll have to do another collaboration.
Absolutely. Y'all are probably going to be seeing a decent amount of those hopping back and forth between podcasts. We got our little friend group going on here.
Yes. And, fellow podcasters.
Yep. For sure. Well, all right, y'all. Thanks for listening. If there are any other particular movies with When Calls the Heart cast that y'all know of that y'all want us to cover, let us know. We'll try to keep up with them as they come out, but not always the best at doing that. So again, y'all just kind of let us know if there's something in particular y'all want us to cover, and we'll see what we can do. But we will be back soon. We still, when Morgan is available, we need to record our recaps for episodes 4 and 5 of When Calls the Heart. And we'll see y'all then. Bye.
Bye, y'all.